You don't fall for toxic people by accident. You fall for them because, somewhere deep inside you, beyond logic, beyond reason, something about their chaos feels like home. It's not love you're chasing, it's familiarity, and familiarity for many is laced with pain. That gut feeling you get, the rush, the obsession, the emotional highs and soul-crushing lows, they're not signs of connection. They're symptoms of an old wound being reopened again and again, disguised as romance. Here's the truth most people never hear. You don't want them to love you. You want to finally feel worthy in front of someone who reminds you of the one who didn't. This episode is not about blame. It's about awakening. Because once you understand the psychology behind why you're drawn to toxic people, you can finally stop confusing chaos for love and start choosing something healthier. The word toxic gets thrown around a lot, but what does it really mean? A toxic relationship isn't just about arguments, mood swings, or bad communication. It's a connection that slowly erodes your sense of self, where love is used as a weapon and affection is conditional. It's built on control, inconsistency, and emotional volatility. At its core, a toxic dynamic creates an environment where your nervous system is constantly on edge, craving validation one moment, bracing for rejection the next. This is where the psychology gets dark. Intermittent reinforcement, a pattern where rewards, like affection, compliments, or attention, are given unpredictably, is the same principle used in slot machines. The brain becomes addicted not to the reward, but to the unpredictability of it. When someone is hot one day and cold the next, your brain starts chasing the high of their affection. It becomes a loop. Rejection, pursuit, reward, repeat. That inconsistency creates obsession. This is why toxic relationships are so addictive. You're not just emotionally involved, you're chemically hooked. The mind wants clarity, but the body craves the chaos it's grown used to. That push-pull sensation, it lights up the brain's reward system like a drug. What you call love might actually be withdrawal from emotional instability, and unless you recognize that, you'll keep mistaking pain for passion over and over again. Before you ever went on your first date, your brain had already decided what love should feel like. That blueprint was written in childhood, through every hug you got, every moment you were ignored, every emotional storm you were left to navigate alone. And if love back then felt like anxiety, neglect, or inconsistency, that's what your nervous system now recognizes as home. This isn't conscious. You don't choose toxic people on purpose, but your subconscious is always searching for what's familiar, not what's healthy. Psychologists call this attachment theory, and it explains how the way we bonded with our earliest caregivers shapes how we connect in adult relationships. If you had a parent who was emotionally unavailable, unpredictable, or dismissive, your brain may have linked love with pain and safety with distance. So when someone mirrors those patterns later in life, hot and cold, dismissive then sweet, it doesn't raise red flags. It triggers old survival codes. You chase them, not because they're good for you, but because your younger self is still trying to earn the love they never consistently received. It's called repetition compulsion, the unconscious drive to recreate past wounds, hoping to rewrite the ending. But instead of healing, you end up re-traumatized. Here's the hardest truth. You weren't drawn to them by love. You were drawn by familiarity. And until you update that internal blueprint, you'll keep choosing people who make you feel the way you did when you were small, unseen, unworthy, and desperate for validation. But awareness is the beginning. Once you see the pattern, you can finally break it. What if I told you that the chemistry you feel with certain people isn't chemistry at all? It's a stress response. When you meet someone who triggers old emotional wounds, your nervous system doesn't say, "This is dangerous." It says, "This feels familiar." And that familiarity sends your body into a subtle state of alert, heart racing, stomach tight, thoughts obsessively looping. But because it's tied to romance, you confuse that physiological arousal for attraction. This is the betrayal. Your sympathetic nervous system, responsible for fight, flight, or freeze, gets activated. The chaos, the unpredictability, the drama, it mimics the emotional intensity you experienced in the past, and your body reads that as aliveness. We call it trauma chemistry, a deceptive high that binds you not with love, but with adrenaline. You don't realize it, but you're not feeling passion. You're feeling the rush of survival. This is why healthy relationships can initially feel boring. There's no roller coaster, no emotional whiplash, just calm. And if your nervous system has been trained to equate calm with danger, because calm often came right before emotional withdrawal or punishment, then you'll subconsciously reject peace in favor of pain. Your body isn't broken, it's just trying to protect you the way it always has. But healing means retraining it, so that safety, not chaos, becomes your new normal. Toxic relationships don't just break your heart, they hijack your brain. At the center of this chaos is dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for pleasure, reward, and motivation. But here's the twist. Dopamine doesn't spike when things are predictable. It spikes when rewards are uncertain. So when someone goes from loving to distant, from sweet to cruel, your brain lights up. Not because it feels good, but because it might feel good again soon. That maybe creates anticipation. And anticipation is what fuels addiction. It's the same mechanism that drives gambling. You pull the slot machine, not knowing if you'll hit the jackpot. That rush, it's dopamine. And toxic love works the same way. The result, you become hooked, not on the person but on the possibility of them returning to who they were in the beginning. That one perfect day, that one incredible night, the love bombing stage your nervous system keeps chasing. And the more inconsistent the connection, the more dopamine floods your system. The brain says, "Keep playing, you're so close to winning." But you're not chasing love, you're riding a chemical roller coaster that crashes every time. This is why leaving can feel like withdrawal. It's not just emotional, it's physiological. Your brain is detoxing from spikes it came to depend on. Recognizing this isn't weakness, it's power. Because once you see the pattern, you can stop confusing drama for depth and choose a connection that actually nourishes you. Toxic attraction isn't just about the present, it's about the past trying to heal itself through someone new. Inside every adult who chases emotionally unavailable partners is a younger version of themselves still waiting to be chosen, seen, and loved. That's the inner child, the part of you that learned early on that love had to be earned, that attention was conditional, and that you had to work for affection. When you find someone who withholds love, criticizes you, or makes you feel small, part of you sees a chance. Maybe if I can make this person love me, I'll finally prove I'm worthy. It's not conscious, it's a subconscious redemption loop. The belief that if you can get someone like them to stay, you can rewrite the pain of the past. But that's the trap. You're not trying to love them. You're trying to heal you through them. It's like emotional time travel. You keep returning to the same wound, hoping this time the ending will be different. But it never is. Because that kind of healing doesn't come from someone else finally choosing you. It comes from you choosing yourself, completely, unapologetically, and without needing anyone else's permission. You can't rescue your inner child by staying in the same pain that hurt them. You rescue them by becoming the adult they always needed, the one who stops begging for love and starts becoming it. Some toxic bonds don't just feel intense, they feel fated, like two puzzle pieces snapping together in all the wrong ways. That's often what happens when a narcissist and an empath collide. The narcissist craves admiration, control, and endless validation. The empath craves connection, purpose, and the feeling of being needed. Together, they create a cycle of dependency. One takes, the other overgives, until both are drowning. To the empath, the narcissist's wounds trigger their inner caretaker. They see the broken child beneath the bravado and believe, if I love them enough, they'll finally soften. To the narcissist, the empath's compassion is a resource, not a relationship. It's something to feed off of, not to nurture. This dynamic is magnetic, but it's not love. It's a trauma bond dressed in intimacy. The empath often grew up proving their worth through emotional labor. The narcissist learned to protect themselves through domination and distance. The result? One person slowly loses themselves trying to heal the other. But here's the truth. Compassion without boundaries is self-destruction. And healing someone else's wounds should never come at the cost of reopening your own. You're not here to fix people who hurt you. You're here to remember that you were never broken to begin with. When you stop needing to be needed, you stop attracting people who only show up when they need you. We like to think we stay in toxic relationships because of love. But more often, it's ego, not heart, that keeps us stuck. The ego hates being wrong, especially about someone we invested so much of ourselves into. To walk away means admitting that what we believed was love was actually pain in disguise, and that's a blow to our identity. So we rationalize. We say, they're just misunderstood, or maybe it's my fault too. We hold on to hope, not because they've shown growth, but because letting go feels like failure. There's also cognitive dissonance, the mental tension between what we know, this is hurting me, and what we hope, they'll change. To relieve that tension, the brain twists reality to fit the fantasy. And then there's the sunk cost fallacy, staying because we've already given so much. Time, energy, emotion. We think leaving would make it all meaningless, but the real cost is staying. The truth is, you don't stay because you love them. You stay because your ego doesn't want the story to end this way. But healing begins when you choose peace over pride, when you choose yourself, even if it means letting go. If you've ever stayed in a toxic relationship longer than you should have, ask yourself, who taught me what love is supposed to feel like? Chances are it wasn't just your parents, it was movies, music, books, and culture. And for decades, those stories have sold us a dangerous idea, that love is supposed to hurt. We're told real love is messy, love means never giving up, or worse, if it's easy, it's not real. Drama gets confused with depth. Jealousy is mistaken for passion. Pain is romanticized as proof of how much you care. Think about how many times you've heard, "You complete me." It sounds beautiful, but it teaches you that you're not whole on your own. These myths keep you chasing intensity, not intimacy. They convince you that enduring chaos is noble, that fixing someone is loving, and that leaving means you didn't try hard enough. But love isn't meant to be a battle. It's meant to be a place where you can finally put your armor down. When you start unlearning the stories culture told you, you begin to write your own, one where love feels like peace, not war. Here's the truth that most people miss. You can't think your way out of toxic attraction. You have to heal your way out of it. Attraction isn't just about looks or personality, it's deeply tied to your nervous system. If your body has been wired to equate love with emotional highs and lows, then calm, stable, secure love will feel wrong, boring, even suspicious. But that's not intuition, that's trauma. To truly change who you're drawn to, you have to rewire your attraction compass. That starts with healing at the level where the wound began, not just cognitively, but emotionally and somatically. This might mean working with a trauma-informed therapist, practicing somatic techniques like breathwork or inner child work, and learning to recognize the difference between a spark and a red flag. It also means building emotional safety within yourself, setting boundaries, self-regulating when triggered, and learning that love isn't something you have to chase or earn. At first, healthy love won't feel natural. That's okay. You're not broken, you're just healing. Eventually, what used to feel thrilling will feel unsafe, and what used to feel boring, like consistency, kindness, calm, will start to feel like home. Because the real work isn't finding the right person. It's becoming the version of you who no longer confuses chaos with connection. Imagine waking up one day and realizing you're not anxious about whether they'll text back, you're not decoding mixed signals, you're not constantly questioning your worth, you just feel safe. That's what real love feels like. Not butterflies, not adrenaline, but peace. It's steady, it's reciprocal, it's boring only to the parts of you that were trained to survive on chaos. And once those parts heal, that boring becomes beautiful. Real love feels like being seen without performance, like knowing you can show up fully, with your joy, your sadness, your fears, and still be held. It's built on trust, not tension, on safety, not suspense. There are no games, no silent punishments, no unpredictable highs followed by emotional crashes, just honesty, presence, and respect. And most importantly, it doesn't require you to abandon yourself. The future you doesn't chase people who trigger your wounds. They choose people who support your healing. And when chaos knocks, they don't answer. Because they've learned that peace is not only possible, it's the new standard. That version of you is real, and they're already waiting on the other side of your healing. Here's the mirror, the one most people spend their lives avoiding. You weren't addicted to them. You were addicted to the version of you that might finally be enough in their eyes. But healing isn't about convincing someone to love you. It's about no longer needing to be chosen by people who can't even choose themselves. This isn't about blame, it's about truth. And the truth is, your patterns aren't flaws, they're clues. Clues pointing to the places in you that still need care, still need safety, still need you. You don't break toxic cycles by trying harder. You break them by looking at yourself fully, honestly, and saying, I deserve more. And I'm done calling pain a soulmate. Because the most powerful thing you can ever do is stop chasing people who hurt you and start becoming the person who finally refuses to abandon themselves.